I want to welcome our partners from the American Red Cross National Capital Region and their CEO, Linda Mathis, and our emergency management partners from the District of Columbia, Prince George's County, and Montgomery County. We are delighted to have Ken Wadelski, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, join us today, and then our own Pete Peterson, Pepco's Emergency Preparedness Manager. We will have experts on site to answer your questions with regards to smart grid and storm restoration, as well as our energy efficiency programs. I will now turn it over to Donna Cooper, Pepco Region President, to get us started.
Thank you very much, Courtney. Good morning, and thank you for joining us as we announce our storm readiness plans for the 2015 hurricane season, which officially started earlier this week. I'd like to first recognize and thank organizations like the American Red Cross, our local emergency management agencies who play such a significant role in our communities and partner with us to prepare for the storm season. In a moment, you'll hear from Ken Wadelski from the National Weather Service. He will provide important details about their hurricane forecast. First, I want to highlight a message that we hear very loud and clear from meteorologists like Ken. It only takes one major storm to cause catastrophic damage to our communities, and we should prepare no matter what. We also know from the severe weather history of our region that it doesn't have to be a named storm to significantly disrupt our lives. This time of year, we must be prepared to respond to all types of summer storms. Threatening clouds that roll in quickly can develop into very powerful thunderstorms, which produce high winds that roll in, and that is very impactful to our trees, which will impact our electrical infrastructure, which can snap our power lines. One of my critical roles as the president of the Pepco region is communication. And when we talk about communication, we have to communicate year-round regarding our preparation efforts for weather events that could interrupt electric service to thousands of customers. But one of the things that I focus on significantly as well, while we prepare, our customers have to be prepared as well. Pepco has made reliability enhancements over the last 5 years that have strengthened our system. There have been major infrastructure investments, and we have replaced poles, wires, transformers. We have focused significantly on comprehensive vegetation management plans that keeps the trees as well as limbs a safe distance from our power lines. Those investments, along with the efforts of our dedicated Pepco employees, have dramatically reduced the number of times our customers lose power, and today you can count on us to restore power even faster. The smart grid technology that Courtney referenced earlier, we have that in place this season. That includes our AMI smart meters for more than 99% of our customers, and this allows us to remotely locate service interruptions and respond more quickly. This improves our restoration efficiency and also helps to avoid unnecessary truck rolls that impacts the environment. Another significant investment is that we have optimized technology that creates what we define as a self-healing electric grid in parts of our territory. For example, if a tree damages our infrastructure, our feeder, the equipment based on this technology will recognize the problem, isolate it, which prevents a larger number of customers from being impacted by that particular event. So fewer customers would be impacted by that particular event. Pepco will continue to build on our track record of improving reliability as well as restoration. We're currently going through a request for a merger. One of the benefits that we shared as it relates to this merger is improved reliability as well as additional resources which will assist our company as well in responding to emergency events. We have had the approvals in Maryland, and it is now pending before the Public Service Commission of the District of Columbia. The record closed on May 27th, and they're reviewing that full record. The combination of our companies would benefit our customers in many ways. We're committed as a company to providing safe and reliable electric service to our customers, to ensuring that we communicate effectively with our customers about significant issues such as storm events, and more importantly, being prepared. Today marks our efforts of noting this particular season and also working with our partners to get that information out to our customers, because we have to be prepared. At this time, I want to thank you for being here, and to at this time welcome Ken Wadowski, the meteorologist from the National Weather Service. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for having me today. My name is Ken Wadowski. I'm a meteorologist with the Weather Service office in Sterling, Virginia. I've been with the National Weather Service for 15 years and have worked at 5 different forecast offices through that time. I'd like to start off by saying we are now underway with the 2015 hurricane season. It started June 1st and it runs through November 30th. The peak for our region occurs from about mid-August all the way through the first week of October, but that doesn't mean we can't have a landfalling tropical system in the months of June, July, or even November. In years past, we had impacts from Hurricane Sandy that occurred in late October into the first part of November. That was only 3 years ago. Last year, there was Hurricane Arthur that impacted the Carolinas and out across Ocean City around the 4th of July. So while the peak is toward the latter half of the summer, we can see impacts from tropical cyclones beginning in June and of course, toward the end of the season. Now, we experience 4 main threats from tropical cyclones in the Middle Atlantic region. The first being heavy rainfall. That can be on the order of several inches and at times up to 2 feet. If you remember remnants from Tropical Storm Lee that impacted this region several years ago, there were upwards of 10 and 20 inches of rain that occurred in a matter of a couple of days. So flooding from rivers and streams is high impact. Damaging winds is the next threat. You could see wind speeds, tropical storm force greater than 39 miles an hour, and hurricane force greater than 74 miles an hour. Tornadoes are also a threat with any cyclone, as well as storm surge. So when people think of hurricanes, they think of wind being the big threat. It really is not. The biggest threat from cyclones is storm surge flooding. When the storm approaches land, it increases the tidal surge, and that water comes on shore, and that really causes loss of life and property damage as well as flooding. So storm surge is the main threat. So the official NOAA outlook for this year calls for a below normal hurricane season due to El Nino conditions. We're looking at the potential for 6 to 11 named storms, 3 to 6 of those becoming hurricanes, and up to 2 of those hurricanes becoming major storms. That means Category 3 and higher. But as we mentioned earlier, it only takes one storm to change your life forever, and I mean that. 15 years of experience, I've seen this before, where all it takes sometimes is just a tropical storm even can dump so much rainfall and cause so much flooding and loss of life, whereas you're not seeing 100-mile-an-hour winds. So just one storm can change your life regardless of it's a average, above average, or below normal season. So with that, it's important to monitor latest forecasts, watches, warnings, and advisories. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, looks at hurricane intensity and track forecasts, and then your local National Weather Service office in Sterling handles impact statements, tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings that protect life and property across our area. Our webpage, www.weather.gov/Washington. And it's also important to have a plan in place before the threat of hurricanes even exists, before the season begins, to have a plan in place to prepare your family and your loved ones for the impact. And also have a way to receive warnings. You can receive these products through our webpage, through social media, through your smartphone. There are numerous weather applications for that, as well as NOAA Weather Radio and your local media outlets. So again, 4 major threats for the area: heavy rainfall, storm surge flooding, wind, and tornadoes. And again, a below normal season is expected, but again, all it takes is one storm to change your life forever. I'd like to introduce now Linda Mathis, the CEO of American Red Cross for the National Capital Region. Thank you very much.
Ken, thank you for that very useful information. And Donna, thank you and the leadership of Pepco for having this event today. We appreciate so much you're making the safety of the community and preparedness such a priority, and for including your partners like the Red Cross in this effort to communicate to people what to do and how to do it, to be ready and prepared for whatever happens, one storm or more, as Ken said. I'm Linda Mathis. I'm the CEO of your American Red Cross in the National Capital Region. Dealing with disasters locally and nationally and internationally, we at the Red Cross know very well how essential it is to have our community prepared, to have families prepared, ready to respond, ready to work together. With hurricane season upon us, with the recent storms in our own community and in communities in other parts of the country, with the pattern of recent summers, with the forecast Ken just mentioned, and remember years ago, the kinds of disasters we did have in our community, the derecho, the microburst, hurricanes, flooding, the earthquake, all of these were during the summer months. And all of these are reminders that it's important for us at this time to assess our needs, our level of preparedness, and update our plans. The Red Cross responds to about 70,000 disasters each year across the country. Right here in this community, that's about 500 each year. In fact, right now, we have Red Cross workers deployed right here in our community responding to disasters. We also have workers deployed to Texas and Oklahoma helping families there. It's been a busy summer already, and we're just getting going. Red Cross brings over 100 years of experience in this business, so we've listened, we've learned, we've worked extensively with our partners, and we've got some thoughts about what can help minimize suffering, reduce disruption, and even save lives. You'll hear us be consistent with our partners. You've already heard some tips already. There are 3 basic core actions that can help each and every one of us prepare for however many or whatever kinds of emergencies can occur. And that's, of course, staying informed, being informed and staying informed, having a family emergency plan, and then thirdly, having an emergency supplies kit. Let me just briefly remind all of us of what this entails. Ken brought to us some very useful information that helps us be informed. It's important for us to stay informed about what can happen to our own family, within our own neighborhood, and to our whole community. There are incidents like home fires or medical emergencies that can happen to our own families, and there are the other kinds of disasters like full summer storms and floods and hurricanes that can affect whole communities. It's important for each of us to have battery-operated radio, crank cell phone chargers, emergency alert systems. Again, Ken mentioned websites and other information. I'll mention our own, www.redcross.org. We also are trying to make it very easy for people to know what to do and how to do it and stay informed. So we've got about 10 Red Cross apps, mobile apps, that provide useful information in the palm of your hand. Another way of staying informed is to take training in how to handle emergencies such as injuries, cardiac arrest, how to reduce suffering by taking training in first aid and CPR. Again, we're trying to make that very easy for people by providing training online as well as useful first aid information in apps. We urge every household to have one or more people trained in these important skills. Secondly, each of us should have a family disaster plan. We should have it, we should communicate it with our loved ones, we should practice it, test it, update it. This sounds so basic, but it is basic to reducing disruption and even having a chance to save lives. It's important that all of us plan what we would need to do if we needed to evacuate, or more likely, stay put, how we would shelter in place and what it would take for us to be able to do that. It's important that each of us know, especially during summer months, what our kids' school plans are, as well as camps. What do any camps that our children are going to, what are their plans in times of emergencies? Some of us have seniors at assisted living or independent living facilities. What are their plans to take care of our loved ones? These are important ingredients in our family emergency plans. Lastly, it's important that each of us have emergency supplies readily accessible and supplies that can help sustain us and our families for 3 to 5 days. Water, food, flashlights, radio, batteries, first aid kit, medication, cell phone chargers, that crank kind, copies of personal documents, and emergency contact information. These are the kinds of things that are frequently not thought about to include in our emergency kits, and they're important. Important that we have emergency kits in our home, in our vehicles, and in our office, because emergencies can happen at all times and at all places. Let's keep in mind any special items we need to handle or address special needs of children, of pets, of seniors. Important to include in our plan, one more ingredient, is to have a way of letting our family members know that we're okay. Red Cross has a website called Safe and Well. It's a way of communicating, letting our loved ones know we're safe, we're okay, we're well. Again, I want to thank Pepco for making our community's safety a real priority. It's a real pleasure to collaborate, to partner with Pepco and our other partners here year-round. We'll do everything we can to help people prepare, but we'll also be there for people when emergencies do happen to bring relief and support and recovery. Thank you very much. I urge you to let us know how you'd like to be involved or any resources you need. Click on redcross.org. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to turn the podium over to Pete Peterson from Pepco.
Thank you, Linda, for all that valuable information. Well, good morning. My name is Pete Peterson. I manage Pepco's emergency preparedness. They've asked me to speak to you for a few minutes about emergency preparedness and system restoration. But before I start, I want to talk to you about something you'll hear quite a bit today as you take the tour, is safety. Safety is a core value at PHI. It always is and always will be. Because of the nature of the element that we work in, if you take safety for granted, it could cost you your life. Safety is an internal and external safety education is a commitment from all of PHI. We want to share information with our first responders to keep them safe and their teams safe. We also share information with our public through newsletters, advertising, and public speaking such as today. And it really is one of those things where if you take it for granted, if you shortcut a safety precaution in this environment with electricity that travels at 186,000 miles per second, arcs have been measured as high as 20,000 degrees, you don't get a second chance many times. So now, emergency preparedness and system restoration. In a disaster, continuity of government and community are critical. Pepco's restoration plan must support that effort with a systematic but flexible approach. Our process is a priority-based process, and if you look at this diagram, potentially life-saving situations are first. Down wires, life safety issues, 911, hospitals, water treatment centers, private health care are all at the very top of our list during an emergency. But our bulk power system is also critical. If you look at what here is titled as number 2, if your transmission lines are down, none of that energy is flowing down into your electrical system, so you'll have to address that. By getting those power lines on, you're effectively restoring tens of thousands of customers. Then beneath that is your sub-transmission or substation equipment, which is number 3. Those substations, most of you don't even notice they're in your communities. They're designed so well to fit in. But inside those substations, there's potentially 10 to 12 feeders out of each substation. Each of those feeders can handle 15 to 2,000 or more customers. So if you quickly do the math, by getting a substation back on, you can affect 20 or more thousand customers to restore them. And then below that, you get down into your distribution systems, your commercial, residential customers, and then finally your individual service lines. The reason we don't do that in reverse is if you were to look and go to number 6, the individual house, and restore, say, that transformer fuse, you would effectively get maybe 4 or 5 customers back on. But that truck roll would have cost you a larger restoring effort. So you could get back on from that same truck roll, you might be able to get back on 1,500 to 2,000. So we have to take a look at that, and we try to restore the largest number of customers in the shortest amount of time, and with keeping in mind that we want to restore all of our customers as quickly as possible. Excuse me. But let's look at some of the different types of service interruptions. As we've heard today, a hurricane, it only takes one hurricane to cause a devastating event where we could have hundreds of thousands of customers out. But it's not just weather events. A simple pole accident. We had a car strike a pole last week that took out the pole. It took out the associated wires with that pole. That process to restore that is roughly 6 hours of manpower. We have to restore, we have to replace that pole, we have to rehang the equipment, rehang the lines. So if you take a look at that and you start to multiply that by the number of power outages you could have with down poles after a major event, you can start to see how it can impact your restoration effort. There's other restoration challenges. As we've talked so much about today, weather, of course, is certainly one of them. We have such a beautiful day today, but there's always potential for different weather. But also another issue around this area, as many of you know, is transportation. On any given day, as you know today, if you tried to get here from some Prince George's County or the district, it could very easily have taken you an hour. Do that same trip on a Sunday morning, it may only take you 25 to 30 minutes. So our crews deal with all that on a daily basis. If they're in Rockville and need to get to Bethesda, the traffic patterns, the traffic congestion can make a tremendous impact on how quickly they can get there. So we have to deal with all of that as we try to restore power. And as a utility, we understand we provide 2 key services. The first is energy and the second is information. When that first is not available, the second becomes critical. Our customers, both residential, commercial, as well as our EMAs, need that information to better plan their lives, to make their decisions. Pepco recognizes the importance of providing and maintaining reliable electric service, providing that information, as well as being a reliable neighbor to our communities, and especially during times of crisis. And we do this, we believe it's a multi-level approach. Through education, you share information and processes. You participate in drills and exercises. You work to improve on an everyday basis, and you think outside the box. Every idea is a potential for getting better. Communication, as you'll hear throughout the day, is key. Developing, maintaining effective lines of communication, ensuring that the proper information is provided and shared with utilities, critical facilities, and of course our first responders and emergency management agencies. And if you do those first 2 things effectively, what you end up doing is building partnerships. And you build a partnership based on common goals of serving your community, focused on operational issues, and you leave the politics and the egos outside, because then you can be effective. And if we're doing all those things right, those partnerships that we develop are not just during emergencies, but they're doing blue sky, they're day in, they're day out. They require commitment, they require coordination, and above all, they require communication. We work with all of those entities that we've mentioned throughout the day, but we do it on a daily basis, not just during an event. And the bottom line here is that we are establishing a trust based on common goals, based on respect and understanding of operational needs and limitations. They're established well in advance, not during an event. They're based on operational practices that are the norm rather than the exception. And again, I mentioned they're focused on those operational issues. You got to stay focused on that. And again, it's about the common goal of serving our communities and our customers together and improving how we do that. So as I close today, I just want to ask you one last question. Do you have a plan? As Linda mentioned, everybody has a plan. You have to have a plan, whether it's individual, for your business, your family, because it's not a matter of if you're going to use it, it's just a matter of when you're going to use it. So with that, I want to thank you. Hope you enjoy the rest of our day with us, and then I would like to bring Donna back for some closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete. Based on the comments and the presentations, there are some very constant themes here. Ultimately, preparation has to occur year-round. It does not begin when the season begins. In order for us to be effective, we have to partner with our critical stakeholders, the Red Cross, AARP, our emergency management agencies, the District of Columbia government, Prince George's, Montgomery County, and our various stakeholders. Information that is so critical to this coming in from the National Weather Service. Communication is so important. We have a wealth of information on our website, which is at pepco.com. Every day, we're thinking about how we can more effectively communicate with our customers, the diversity of our customers, and how they like to receive information. And without the Red Cross and our other partners that are in this room, we could not do it. While we are taking all efforts to improve our system, to be more responsive, our customers also have to be prepared. So I want to thank everyone for being here on today. Throughout the year, we're preparing, but we want our customers to be prepared. We are serving our customers, and we are interested to ensure that they are safe. So thank you. After this news conference, we have a line demonstration that will be executed by Pete Peterson. That is also extremely informative. So thank you for covering this important and critical press conference on today. Thank you for being here.